under contract. Now there are 3 things you must do right away when you are under contract. The first is to find out where the earnest money needs to go, how much, and get your buyer to get that money over to the escrow holder. So usually it's the title company, sometimes it's the seller's brokerage that's going to hold that money in escrow. But you got to figure out who's going to pay, if it's going to be the buyer or if they're going to drop a check off to you, where you're going to get it there, and if they're going to do it through personal check, cashier's check, or wire. If it's a wire transfer, you're going to have to coordinate with the buyer and the escrow holder company as far as getting the wiring instructions. And be careful of wire fraud. And so getting the earnest money there, make sure you read the dates on your contract so it gets there before the deadline, because you don't want to be in default of the contract right at the beginning here. Number 2, you got to make sure you talk to the lender. Your buyer needs to be getting that loan underway within 3 days of that contract typically. So you want to make sure that the lender knows you're under contract. Here's the terms. Send them the original contract, any counteroffers that got signed and agreed upon, and make sure that you are moving forward with that loan. It's the loan that takes so long for closing. That's why we close in 30 days. Some loans could take 45 days. On a good year, you could get a loan done in 21 days, but essentially the reason we're not closing in a week or 2 is because of the loan. So you want to really get on that, make sure that gets going right away, and stress that importance to the buyer as well. And number 3 is the inspection. Inspection is really important because that's where most people would find things that might become a deal breaker, where they're no longer going to want to buy the home. And sometimes you'll find things that you want the seller to fix beforehand or pay money towards fixing before closing. So inspection is really, really important. Typically, inspection needs to be done within the first 7 to 10 days, depending on what your dates are in your contract. And so you need to get that scheduled. Now, when it's a really hot market and tons of people are buying, those schedules for inspectors get filled up really fast, especially the really good inspectors. So if you have a really favorite company, you want to make sure you get it scheduled ASAP, like right away. You can also ask them about if they have any cancellations, if you can move it up. That's always an option to ask, or to call them every day and find out, like, hey, got anything opening up today or tomorrow? And that's another way to try to squeeze in with a really good company. Schedule it early, get it agreed upon. The seller has to agree to let them in. They have to agree, but getting the right time, because sometimes they might be like not 8 a.m. because they have their meetings then. So just making sure you coordinate with the seller and the buyer too. Typically I tell my buyers to be there for the inspection because they can learn about their house, like where the water main shutoff is, and all the little details of things that they should know about, fire alarms and smoke alarms, all these things. But sometimes they just come for the summary, and that can be okay too, as long as your inspector goes through all the major details so they understand what's in the inspection report. So 3 things: earnest money, get that in; loan, get that started; and inspection, get that scheduled.